Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, one of the important things in life is, of course, manifesting science, which is basically what is the most important thing in life. You got to manifest. No matter what you have in life, you ultimately have to manifest with it. So if you have a particular skill, ability, you've educated yourself, you've learned some worthless stuff that society wants to pay you for, well, this is all part of what you got to get out there then and manifest with it. So it's very important to do that. Of course, we have made available to people to very low cost manifesting machines. The future of all life is that everybody will have, of course, their phone. You should have a PC so you can do some serious work. And of course, you have to have a manifesting machine. So these are all the things that will be commonplace, and most all the time people will have phones and manifesting machines that they carry with them, and I'm assuming someday they will actually integrate these to some degree, but you really can't. It's apples and oranges to a degree. So a manifesting machine and putting it in with a phone is not really a good idea, but I'm assuming many, many years in the future, when of course all my tech is being used by everybody commonly, certain changes will be made. But it's very important. But what is the fact of all of this mean? So once you're manifesting, once you're controlling this hell plane as much as you can, well, it's all about ascension. Now, if you think you're going to get anywhere here, I don't care how rich and popular you are. And, from what I can see is that while wealth does assist people, and of course that includes political connections and other things, the game has been rigged there as well, because generally you're not allowed to be rich and popular unless you're part of the control evil system out there as well. Now, we see this has been noted recently in the entertainment industry, particularly in the music industry. We now even see it in wrestling, where you go along with their perverted, deviant activities, or you don't get successful. Now, this is a deep subject I'm not going to go into right now, because what I'm talking about right now is, of course, centering yourself on being centered and getting involved in ascension. Now, ascension is you're put in this hellplane school so that you try and escape it. That's the meaning of life. Now, you can dodge this. You can sit in your own pile of poo, either being rich or being poor, finding many ways to escape. A lot of people escape poverty. Living on the street is a way of escaping not dealing with ascension, and you pay a big price for it. But in a lot of ways, as these things seem to be horrific for the average person, it is an escape. You don't have to deal with anything if you're really poor or if you're living on the street. So it's really sad, and you go from one little screwed up high to another. And that's the way you get out of it. And of course, they've even made it now, since the world is so poor, they've even now made street drugs like fentanyl cheap. What an amazing advancement. Can we thank science for that? How about all the chemists and stuff? Well, they don't have cures for anything, but we have cheap, horrible narcotics. Woo! Thank you, scientists. Well, as we move on into the real world with that, so what is it all about? You can't take anything with you. Let's say you achieve the things that are considered important in the society, which is really kind of amusing. Physical things. Now, generally, I'm not sure if we can overstate it, but generally expensive things tend to be of better quality. I've got some expensive stuff that isn't, and even recently bought some expensive clothes that were just crap. So the fabrics were very nice fabrics, but they didn't hold up well at all, etc. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it is in any way guaranteed. But definitely, and I'm not sure if they're worth it in the bigger picture, unless you have money to burn. And there's a lot of people that have money to burn, and there's 8 billion people on this planet. So there's an awful lot of people that have lots of money who will steal, rob, and rape you at every turn they can get away with it, because they're good religious people. They go to church on Sunday, and then they steal food out of the baby's mouth that they're renting a house to. Thank you, Jesus. So the whole idea is that we have all these things that we have to deal with. So what does all that mean? Um, so ultimately, when you get down to it, so the certain things are, well, it's almost unequivocally, if you get something very inexpensive, it's inexpensive because generally it's cheap to make, produce, or it is just garbage. You're making it out of something that is super low quality. This can be anything from cigars to alcohols to wines, etc. But there's an awful lot of good wines you can get for a couple of bucks, $2, $3. It's amazing what's out there if you know. So should you spend 15 on or 25 or 55 on a bottle of wine? That ultimately is not much better than, and some of them aren't even as better. I've gotten a lot of expensive wines, which I consider to be bad. So this is the reality of life. What's good, what's bad. But in general, of course, money can buy. Money buys you fancy houses. Is that important? Not really. But it does buy you neighborhoods, views, all sorts of things. So you're not going to get a beach house for the price that you get a condo on Sepulveda. So the whole idea is that's the reality of life. And we need to understand that. And so there is something to that. But what you can't take it with you. They can't dig up your house, your condo, or your Ferrari and put that in a hole with you in it. Now, some people have actually been buried in their car, so it's kind of a large coffin. But of course, that's extreme, and it seems to be a waste of a good piece of equipment that could have been left to maybe somebody who can appreciate it. Well, probably your dead spirit will treat that car better than some newy kid. So the whole idea is that we have to understand that. But without diversing so much, the bottom line is you can't take anything with you. The only thing you can take with you, which is critical, because this life is extremely short. As in hard times and in times of illness and stress, it seems like life is an unending burden. And that's why you have such a high suicide rate, triggered by many other things in society that want you to kill yourself. But that's another issue. But the bottom line is that if you get over it, not if, when you get over it, because everything is generally transitory to a degree. And of course, as we are getting sicker and sicker, we get into all sorts of problems. So people get cancer and then they die 15, 20 years later. It's just really the clock has started for you. And you're not going to be able to take anything with you. You want to accumulate all sorts of things because you know you're going to be dead in 10 years. Well, maybe you're a goofball. So you want to do that. People tend to collect things, which is important if you are collecting things and building assets, to pass this on to your family, who's going to have it much worse than you did. And your job as a parent is to collect stuff to give to your children so they can have a chance of ascending as well, not having to be a slave, to give up everything they believe in, to follow the corporate nonsense, or God forbid, become a cop, a fireman, or a military. So, of course, these are the kind of things that you have to guard against really at a very high level. So that's what your job is in collecting things. Now, I'm not sure that's your only job. Obviously, you want to make sure you're working on your ascension, etc., and you don't become a slave. But if you're thinking like that, you start to not give value to actual physical things which are worthless. Now, I'm going to go into actual ascension practices things that you can learn to break away from the control system you're in. A control system which has kind of been misnomered or misnamed, The Matrix and so forth, because of that fabulous movie. But that fabulous movie, everybody didn't quite understand. And while I used to give credit to the directors of that, the bottom line is I'm not sure they knew anything. They were going through a personal sexual struggle of changing their sexual identity, and I'm not sure how much of this had to do with society. I think because certainly they are not losers in society, not when you see their mansions, their giant bank accounts, and everything else. And I'm not sure they've really done anything past that. Certainly before and after The Matrix, these people have made nothing of any value. And I don't know of any Yavorsky sisters charities or anything else they probably give to people, but giving to charities is the dumb rich person's reality. It's like being on cocaine because you have so much money to buy the crap. So the whole idea is that I don't see that, but they should be setting up their own charities, whatever it is, film schools, setting up training programs, anything that it is. And as far as I know, and I can't keep track of everything, nor I'm going to spend 50 hours tracing what they're doing every day. Did they go to Starbucks today? Well, we're not going to do that. It's a waste of my time. But if you're not doing things and publicizing it so that people can take advantage of your excesses or abilities, such as setting up film classes, setting up scholarships so people can make films, all the things there. And of course, we got to remember that they are just a peg in a giant board of pegs to make up what they're doing. So, like everything, that movie was a giant collective task by thousands of people, actually. And everything's from the sets to the clothing to everything else was done by somebody else, including their philosophy, which certainly there's none of it is original. They also are quoting the typical dominating German Arab thinking factor, where most of the people they go into, the Kants, the Schopenhauers, and all the other people they want to quote. They don't quote any people that have answers to anything, like the Roman and Greek philosophers who told you how to live and figured stuff out. Marcus Aurelius. You don't see that in the Matrix because they didn't have the answers. And still don't. So this is all part of the reality that everybody needs to understand out there as we do it. But certainly, as the ascending person, and I talk about many films that you can watch, of course, that's part of, I guess, the top 10. It keeps falling down as there are things that relate much more to your society than that kind of science fiction film, because that's what it is. It's not very society relating when you have to go out into the street and face knives, guns, corrupt everything. It's not living in a little corporate job and going through the phones. So, a great film and very interesting, and it got the point across very well. But now people have taken it as literally. So what is the scientist and the average person? Well, what do they say? Well, we're living in a computer program, aren't we, scientists, man? You can't figure out anything. You can't cure anything. We have no free energy. Oh, you don't even know what consciousness is because you got to debate that. Because you're so messed up and you so can't think clearly, you can't even figure out what an energetic being is. And then you want to pollute it with your thinking. Oh, does it have a spine? Does it have a brain? Does it have this? Well, talk to the smartest thing on the planet and they'll tell you. It's called a virus and it'll take you out, baby. While you sit there and contemplate, well, it's kind of stupid, isn't it? Yeah, so stupid that it's got a gun to your head and has already cocked the trigger. But that's way beyond scientists. They're going to talk about Bayesian and, of course, Occam's razor. And the simplest conclusion is the best one. Yeah, everything's a rock. I've solved all the science problems for you people. Everything's a rock. And of course, Bayesian, let's not forget about that. Come on, little Sean McMonkey out there who has thousands of followers that pay this very rich guy more money, and who said the fact is that he wouldn't be doing any of his work unless he was making money from it. So he's not educating, and it's not the fact of covering some expense. No, he's got to make lots of money. Sean Carroll, my hero. If I was a demented freak, which I am not. But certainly his group is. So we get into this kind of stuff, and this is what you should be looking at. And these are the things that you really should be bothered about. You should be angry of this kind of perpetrated fraud on the public, which is you. And giving these idiots credit who have done nothing. So figuring out what? I mean, ultimately, the only thing that has any kind of value is going to be some sort of engineering. Now, I knew a lot of engineers. Old Daddy was a retarded little gay coward that he was, who had all sorts of problems and, of course, victimized his family, his wife, and his children. But all of his friends were all the same thing, and they were engineers, and, of course, they couldn't even fix their cars. But the bottom line is engineering proves itself or not. We have lots of car manufacturers out there and lots of models. Most of them are garbage. So no matter where you get them from, they're garbage. They're expensive garbage or cheap garbage, etc. This is what engineers bring you, but it's proof. These engineers can't come out and say, this is the best car ever made. It doesn't work, engineer boy. It's the best car ever made. Look at it. It's beautiful. It doesn't run. What are you talking about? It's all part of there. It's in the book. So this is what you get from the engineers, the scum of the earth. But, of course, engineers are easily unmasked from their lives and freeze because it doesn't work. And, of course, we get into other areas where it has to work. You build a skyscraper, it falls down. It's what's said in the books how to build it that way. And, of course, they know how to tear those buildings down quite efficiently, as we've seen in 9/11. Pretty easy to do that. It's amazing how engineering has destruction down very easily, but can't really build things forever. But let's get real. When we're building structures, we certainly seem to know how to do that. Bridges, tall buildings. These things are amazing of how the feats of putting them together. Now, that's pure engineering. And how is it pure? If it don't work, people die. So guess what? These kind of things tend to work, don't they? So while bridges fall down over years of neglect and because nobody wants to put any money into bridges that you have to use every day. Let's make bombs for Ukraine. So all the things that goes on in the world out there. So, but this is part of Gnostic thinking, part of Ascension thinking. So the whole idea is your entire life should be noticing all the things that are really messed up in this reality. That's Ascension thinking. And, I cover all this stuff. Mostly it's covered in my inner group at Thor's Club, which is part of All Access. You can join this separately or not. I also cover a lot of this in The Great Path, which I'm trying to put everything together in a cohesive course that people can take, which talks about the technology, manifesting, Gnostic, how the world works. I lay out exactly how the world works, how everything came into existence. It's all there. It's all proven every day by actual physical things. That's what science says. You're supposed to get something and then repeat it. So you can't just go out there and say mud and iron ore put together make a machine. Well, the point is, other stupid scientists are supposed to put that together and say, I didn't get no machine from it. So the point is all of my facts that I teach everybody are there to be proved by everybody, and they're using this technology every day to change their lives, live longer, cure themselves, and reach the highest state of consciousness they can. It's proven every day, just like science, but not anything from regular science. All they're going to prove is how stupid they are. And, we have to recognize that. Why we should give these foul creatures any credit whatsoever is beyond them. I don't give a damn what they've done. They come from institutions of failure and filth, and they should be treated as such. But you're going to get the average populace that wants to drag you into this, that somehow thinks this because Johnny was a little intellectual. He went to college too. And they're going to come out and back this because what are you supposed to do? You can't get a degree in physics if you go to MIT and talk about, that's not really the correct physics. What are you talking about? We've been teaching you for 100 years. What's going on? No, you're going to be thrown out the door, which is the typical reaction to everything. So anytime that you think differently, you're going to be rejected. Now, it's nice to get some sort of foundation, some little tiny box to kind of understand the stupidities of life with, and that's what any kind of regular teaching will do for you. And to a certain extent, that is a necessity, so we know what we're talking about to a degree. But what that works into is dogma that keeps regenerating the same thoughts over and over again. This is all part of being enslaved in the what we would call the matrix reality, or the matrix is a self-generated fake reality you're living in. I called this for years the urban myth. We live in an urban myth. The myth is the fact that all of this stuff has value, that real medicine has value, that science has value. Well, this is a myth. It's as simple as that. It doesn't. None of this stuff works very well. And it's become a point where after they victimize the entire world population, they're now cutting their lines from them because there's enough poor people. There's only a certain amount of poor people that government will pay for now, so nobody cares about them. So this is the reality. They've created this horrible reality, and they can only milk that so much. So they've created enough rich people to take care of themselves. It amazes me with the problems that everybody has, that the middle class and above seem to be still being able to come up with huge amounts of money to pay for doctors that are not covered and all the other crap that people. Huge amounts of money for college, huge amounts of money for lawyers. It's amazing there aren't lawyers on every street corner with a card out there trying to get business because of their outrageous costs they have. So when that happens, when justice is bought, you don't have justice. Think about it. So the whole idea is that that's the reality of life. So what do you do about all this stuff? Connect more to it? Become a lawyer? Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea for a lot of alternative people to go into law. This is where money and power really is. But most likely they're going to eat you alive, and you're going to be eaten and swallowed into the belly of corruption where you'll never get out of. You only get out of it through death, as you then are disposed of through the basically disposal system, are flushing you out of the with the turds that you are now part of as being eaten by the demon. So you will become a turd, and that's how you get it. And then you'll recycle again, and you become the turd that recycles. It's a beautiful story. So the whole idea is that we have to understand all these things that go into this reality. So what are we supposed to do with all this stuff, as it? Well, the whole idea is to be centering yourself, in general, centering yourself. I have a whole course on this as well, which is under my courses, Dr. Thor's teaching on my website, as well as the Great Path on it. You got to teach yourself. That's the reality of it. You got to get this information. You got to work with it. You got to apply it to your life every day. That's how everything works. That's the nature of where we live in. Everybody, of course, wants the magic lamp. And, of course, I want the magic lamp, too. But there's reasons why this doesn't happen. So if you don't go through the struggles and problems of life and learn from the front line battles, then just popping the information in your head, like all of these pseudo-intellectuals from the Dummadamia does, when you go to Dummadamia and you think you've learned something through your philosophical understanding given to you by some really deviant teacher, you don't get it. And that's why the world doesn't work. And these people are all very corrupt. In the end, they just do what society. I've seen this from all the 60 people that went out there and had these ideals, and all they really ended up was turning into greedy Republicans who smoked pot and talked about the New Age. Yeah, well, they were collecting their check and had nothing to do with it. So I've seen this so many times that it's comical. And I find all these 60 brats, which was a little bit before my time, are really the scummiest people out there. Point is, I had two brothers from the 60s. God, were they were and are scum. God, what backstab, caring about the world while they stole money from their own family and their own mother and put her on the street. Thank you, hippie dudes. Is the marijuana there enough for you? Toke it up, baby. So the whole idea is that this is the reality that you are. Now, I have nothing against marijuana. I just have, the problem is that marijuana, like anything in the world, ain't going to make you smart. And if you're a scum, rotten person, there's no way of changing you. Just like all the, quote, shamans out there who take it, the ayahuasca, as I call it, who are the biggest turds you're ever going to meet. And sorry, turds, for insulting you. Connecting you with shamans. So we have to understand that. So there are ways to do every day to start disconnecting with it. Now, as we come to the end here, the bottom line is that the practical ways of disconnecting with everyday controls is easy and simple and has to be done. And you have to want to do it, meaning that you have to accept the fact of this horrible place. That's the first step with Ascension. This is a terrible place. Why do you want to be here? You know, the problem with a lot of Eastern religions and with a lot of Asian as well is they want to come back here. Well, the whole idea is to make sure you come back to choose how you reincarnate. Yes, you can reincarnate and you can be in the better place in the sewer. Sounds fun to me. Curry, anyone? So the whole idea is when you get involved with these fake religions that teach you nonsense, which is all of them, you get caught up in the same thing. And don't think those weren't created to make sure you stay in the quote matrix. Exactly. That's what they're there for. Now, you can break away from this, but it takes past it. Now, if you find objections to that, oh, look at this. Oh, he doesn't like religion. Well, you're lost, baby. So you should be turning this off right now. So the whole idea is that you have to do things on a practical basis every day. And one of those is balancing your brain, doing things against society, doing things opposite, and letting the world know you're not part of them in a subtle but strong way. Now, there's no use doing things and making, like these worthless people who want to make statements, you're jamming medals in them, getting tattoos you're not all over your body. This doesn't prove anything. And those people ultimately are one of the biggest groups of people that are very, very supportive of a corrupt system. In the end, this is just a way for them to get attention with really having to do nothing else. That's really what it's all about. So it's really pretty sad. But you have to do things on a daily basis. Now, I lay out all this stuff in the Great Path, and particularly in Thor's Club, which is now pretty much moved over to be this whole Ascension area. So the whole idea is you learn what to do to break your connection to this reality so that when the time comes, you can ascend out of it. Now, also, Ascension is that. Now, you don't have to do some rainbow body practices done by the Goombas from Tibet. You don't have to do any of that stuff. If you're living an ascending life, when you die, you will go up to a higher level. And there are things you do close to at the time of your death that are easy to do to make sure that you escape and go on to the next level. So going through extensive practices, doing a lot of these things that people do in monasteries, well, this is all impractical and not part of the real world because nobody's living in a monastery. And those are fake lies as well. When you decide to disconnect from society to the point that you are living away from everybody, you have to be careful with that because you're getting stuck in the dogma of whomever or wherever you are in that particular reality you're living in. So you go from the matrix, getting out of the matrix of society into the matrix of temple life. And we know where that's gotten everybody. So the whole idea is that we can just look at all these traditions that have done absolutely nothing. And we can add that into the fact that we can look at places like India and Tibet. Well, what have you done? What do they have? What do they bring around the world? Well, I know that the dummy Lama goes around and begs for money. We need money. We're so advanced, but we can't. We have no money. We can't manifest money. We can't manifest success. We get kicked out of our country. Ooh, you're such powerful, aren't they? So, I mean, that's what they all do. And basically, all these religions go around and beg. So, beg and steal, like most of the regular, quote, Christian churches do, the begging and stealing they do all the time. And so, yeah, you're going to set up a mission in Honduras while you got 1 million people living on the streets. So, the whole idea is that this is real typical of what's going on out there with these fake Christians who want to have people that work with them and scream their little passages and get on their knees because they don't have bread in their mouth, not because they believe a damn thing you're saying or that would have any value. But they play along. Oh, we want these little crosses and stuff. Where is your check? We need schools built. We need wells. Oh, that's right. But screw your own people. Let them sit on the street. So, but we'll fund military and police so we can murder the people on the streets and in foreign countries. Like our Honduras itself, like these Goombas idiots that were on YouTube. Resellers who want to give money to worthless causes. They're born again. So the whole idea is that we have all these things that we have to look at. Now, you have to confront these things. You have to make it part of your life on a daily basis to do this. Now, this takes a dedicated person. You have to invest time and money. Money gives value to what is being done. Anything you get for free is good for wiping your bottom. Nothing more. You don't give any value to anything that you get free. So that's the reality out there. That doesn't mean you have to pay millions of dollars and become a controlled Scientologist and waste all your money. But Scientologists are pretty happy and they have a whole support group. But the whole point is you have a support group if you join things, follow traditions, and communicate with, of course, the people involved in that and discuss your situation. You just discuss your life. You discuss everything else. You do that and have this group of people with a particular goal. And your particular goal is the fact that you live a particular lifestyle, particular life, and you don't need to go to a temple. You need to live you have to have that temple within you. And then you blend that into your life. And that's the way it works to actually ascend. So that's all part of the process. The rest of it is a waste of time. You maybe got 80 years. Most people are dying younger and younger. Everybody's been poisoned now. The kind of people that are dying in their 20s, 30s, and 40s is shockingly. We have an excess death rate now of over 15%, pushing probably to 25% excess deaths, meaning more than normal are dying. And they're not old people. They are young people. And that's the fate coming to you. So have a lot of money in the bank. I guess your children or the state or whoever gets that money will be very appreciative. But it's going to do nothing for you in the long run. You need to understand that. You need to embrace higher concepts. And that doesn't mean wearing diapers and contemplating your navel for 4 hours a day. No. You can certainly enjoy the good things of life that are out there. The things in life that are out there that are properly priced so you can enjoy life. There's nothing wrong with having a basically something that isn't too much but isn't too little. It's the whole idea of the golden mean. Have something that's good. There's nothing wrong with having a nice, good, comfortable car you spend a lot of time in. You want to eat good food and you want to live in a good neighborhood. But past that, it's all illusion. And if your life becomes the pursuit of that, in the end, you will lose. So, in the end, your mortgage always beats you out. In the end, all your credit beats you out because you ultimately are a slave to that until the day you die. So it's very, very important to understand that, move past it, and have this as your daily thing. And it's not going to come from the garbage religions that probably most of you believe in. This is the enslavement. This is what's going to take you into a deep, dark hell of endless and constant reincarnation. Until next time.